Hello, everyone. As I said, my name is Michelle Schaefer. I'm a senior consultant at Ambit Energy. I want to thank you for getting on this great call to prepare your upcoming week. We believe that the silver bullet for this business is to have structure in your week where you spend 30 to 45 minutes a day doing the simple things you need to do. You have your top 10 names ready, your calendars open, a pen and a paper handy so you can prepare for your week right along with us. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our host. If you're not familiar with Richard, he's an executive consultant in our business. He is a business owner in his own right as well. He has several Dickey's barbecue restaurants. He has a music box business. He had a graphics design business he sold several years back for a few $1 million. He's what we call financially free, which is something I think we're all looking forward to. And he's brought us some fantastic programs like the free Vifor mentorship and this PURGE call. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my mentor and dear friend, Mr. Richard Laidler. Richard, are you there?
Yes, I am here and feeling wonderful. I agree, Frank, I can hear that slight static too, but when we talk, I believe the static cuts down. Is that the case, Michelle?
It does.
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. All right, good deal. And thanks for your help today, Michelle. It's I don't know what I would do without you. We were moving into the Carrollton offices today. I'm partially moved in, but it's nice to have some help. And thanks to you, thanks to your son, and thanks to Dean James, another consultant in my team as well, for everybody's help. Makes it all so much easier to have some help. So thanks for that, my lovely.
Well, you're very welcome. We're very excited to have the training center, and I think it's going to be fantastic for everyone here in the local Dallas area.
Okay, awesome. And I also, by the way, you were very kind not to mention, but I was one of the ones this morning who didn't put his clock forward and was a little bit messed up for the day. And that was very kind of you not to say anything. So, Michelle, do me a favor. Can you mute your phone? If you could mute your phone, please, because I think the static is coming from yours. I'm not sure, but...
That's fine. I will.
Yeah, I'm hearing hard to hear with static in the background.
Sure, you got it.
Okay, there it is. Great. Can you hear me okay, Frank?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right, thanks, Michelle. I appreciate that. All right, so wonderful. Well, here we are, 8:05. So 5 minutes into the call. A little late getting started there, but we had some issues with getting Frank into the call, but we're all good and we're all ready to go now, so thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for getting on the call, and everybody reach over with their right hand and give themselves a pat on the back as a nice big congratulations for taking the hour out to get yourself prepared this week. It's probably the best hour you're going to spend on your week. If you prepare your week, you take the hour to prepare your week, then everything you need to do in your Ambit business will get done. If you don't prepare it, then all the best intentions are great, but they may not get done because stuff in your life will get in the way and it'll stop you getting stuff done, jobs, kids, eating, whatever it is. But if you take time and put the time in your calendar to get your Ambit stuff done, just the 30 to 60 minutes we do, each day, then it will get done. So, okay, so the format of the call, again, I'm still working on putting together it's been crazy the last 3 weeks with the moving, but there's a lot of momentum in my team as well. So everybody who's on the call is in my team. Thank you very much, guys. The momentum is awesome. I love it, so I'm going to give a nice little plug to my team there. Thanks for that. But I've been struggling to get the time to put together the little explainer video I was going to do for the first call. But that is coming. I've got the script written. I just didn't do the video parts. But I am now actually moving into the studio that will allow me to do the video work that we need to get that all done. So that's all good. Frank, your microphone's super loud, by the way. So if you could, your chores you're doing for the wife in the background, and if you could do this a little more quietly, that would be wonderful. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So let's get the call going. We've got a lot of people on the call today. As per usual, this call is getting ever more popular, and thank you very much for that. Obviously, the call is giving you value. And so share it. Share it with your team. Share it with your cross line. If you get value from this call, then surely someone else will as well.
The feedback I get is that I get kind of down and dirty. I don't do the kind of like the training that's over everything, and this is the way to do an invite, and this is the way to do this, and this is the way to do that. Get in touch with your why, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I believe in all of those things, but I also believe in getting down and dirty and hearing the good, the bad, and the ugly of what a real day is about, what a real invitation call is about, when it's good, when it's bad, when it's indifferent, when you can't reach people, when people tell you not only no, but hell no, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we get into in this call. Not only on this call, but the accountability calls that we do during the week. The kind of overall plan we do is we have a call on Sunday where I work with a special guest or victim, as we like to call them, in obviously a very friendly way. And then during the week we have an accountability call that we do together. It's not something that you get onto live as the audience. I just record it and then I put it on Facebook. But make sure you listen into those, because I would say some of the best training is actually on those calls, because it'll be about a call that happened that day, or about the consultant that day, just didn't get done what they were supposed to get done, and how to deal with that as an accountability partner. Because here we are, we're all, obviously building our business, but we're also helping our team build their businesses. And the way to do that, the best way is to be a good accountability partner for those people. And just to help them make sure they get done the simple things that we need to get done. But a very quick overview of what we do on Sunday. We get it all revolves around our written list. We get our written list put together. It should be at least 50 names, but probably more like 200 names. My list currently is 242. I'm constantly adding to my list as I meet people, bump into people, as I, whether I'm in a restaurant. I actually just recently went to an event. It was a Lions Club event here in Las Colinas, and got to meet a whole bunch more people, and I got to add a whole bunch more people to my written list. So everything that I'm telling you guys to do, I'm doing myself, because we've got to keep adding to that list. Find a reason to get out. Hard to hear you, and okay. All right. Can you hear me now, okay, Michelle? I'm kind of loud, and I'm with the mic. Is that better? Is that better? Can you hear me now? Michelle, type me a yes or a no, please. Okay, I'm assuming. Evan, you can type me a yes or a no. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, we can hear me good now. I think I was covering the microphone, so sorry about that. But yeah, what I'm basically saying is, keep that written list is real important, not because necessarily that's who we're going to sell to. It's because that's who we're going to show the business to at some point. And you've got to be constantly finding ways to add to that list, because I promise you, I've been in the business for 7 years, so I ran through my list, in my first couple of months. So I'm obviously adding to my list all the time. So make sure you're working on that. Make sure you score it using the Erica system. And I'm not going to get into how we do the actual Erica scoring on this call, but it is on previous recordings we've done, and many of you on this call know how to do this. If there's anybody new on the call, you probably have someone upline from you on the call who knows how to do the Erica scoring. So plug into your upline, have them teach you how to do the Erica scoring. But what it does is it basically gives your list some priority. It brings everybody who scores highly up high on the list, and it gets you. Everyone's going to get a call. Don't worry, everyone on the list is going to get a call, but it just means that the good people come to the top of the list, and that's really important for us. And then what we do on this call, and what we're going to do here live with my guest today, is we're going to work on the invites for each and every one of those 10 people that come to the top of the list. So written lists scored using the Erica system, names come to the top, and then we pick our top 10 names, and we create invites for those top 10 names. Now, I know I was chatting to our guest earlier on, and I know he's already put a bunch of invites together, so I think we may get a lot more invites done on this call rather than having to wait for some of the accountability calls, which is great. So that's going to be good. But so we've got our top 10 names, our invites. And then on Monday, you can take a nice big sigh of relief, and again, another pat on the back to say, I know what I'm doing this week for my Ambit business. And that sounds like just a glib comment, but truly it's absolutely everything. Most people quit the Ambit business because they just don't do it. It's not because it's difficult. It's not because Ambit doesn't do what they're supposed to do. It's not because our rates are higher or lower or anything. It's not because of the only thing that might compare a little bit is some people can't deal with rejection. But if you get on this purge call system, we teach you how to deal with people who, well, first of all, how to get rid of the rejection in the first place, how to do your best to kind of put yourself in a position where you're not going to actually get rejected. The main reason why people quit their Ambit business is they just don't do it. That's why we must put the structure in, and it's in your calendar. So written list, top 10 names, the invite's done, and then we're going to do 2 invites a day and 1 accountability call a day. My guest is going to be doing those calls, and then he's going to be calling me in the evening, and we're recording that conversation. And then next Sunday at the end of the week, our guest will come back, and we'll go through the week, and we'll basically do what we do on this call, which is purge our list. Those people we spoke to, we want to purge them. The yeses, we plug them into the same system. So they're going to do exactly what you did, because remember, this business is all about duplication. Just find a couple of customers when you first get started, get yourself qualified. If you can get a couple more, then great. Get your double bonus by all means. But just get your 2, that's the most important thing, your 2 customers, so you get your money back on the business, and we're going to find 3 consultants who want to work with you immediately, directly sponsored by you. Then we're going to teach them to do the same thing. Get the 2 customers, get 3 consultants. Then we're going to teach them to do the same thing. And I will do that teaching for you on this call. So get them on this call and plug them in, and then work with them as an accountability partner. So that's what we do. So we get our yeses into the system. The people who are maybes, we get them to another business presentation. We get them a 3-way call or whatever it is to help them reach a yes or a no. And either's fine. We just want to help them reach a decision. We want to make sure the decision is reached based on good information, not just a gut feel or, I can't, we want to make sure they get all the information they need to say no or to say yes. And those people who we either can't reach or people who say no, we just purge them, hence the purge call. We purge them off our list so we don't sit and pine about who we didn't get into our business. We're on to our next top 10 names. So that's kind of how the system works. It's a nice, quick way of working our business and making sure we get done what we're supposed to do on the call. 30 to 60 minutes a day. You started your Ambit business to be able to leave that job that's getting in the way right now, to be able to get out of debt that's constantly nagging at you, to get those college funds paid for. Whatever your why is, Ambit will absolutely do it. Whether it's a couple of $100 extra a month or 10,000 extra a month, it will do it for you. But you must have structure. If you don't have structure, unless you're someone who's very special, and that's usually 3% of the population who are self-starters and will just get it done, unless you're one of those, and I know we've got plenty of those, and I would imagine everybody on this call, of course, is that top 3%. But if you look in the mirror, you know if you're that person who can or can't do it. And so make sure you fake it and put the structure in your calendar and stick to it. So, okay, I'm off my soapbox. Now I want to get on to talking to our guest, who is a great friend of mine. We work together on many occasions. We've been at business presentations together, trainings together. And I have to be careful on this call because this gentleman is a pastor, and so I have to make sure I don't say any naughty words or anything that's...
you better not.
Although for a pastor, he's got a wicked sense of humor, I have to tell you that. So I'm very delighted to have this gentleman on the call. He's a regional consultant in the business. He's very active in the local DFW area. He's very willing to help all of his team, much like many of the people who are in the Ambit family. So I'm delighted to bring onto the call regional consultant Frank Schindler. Are you there, Frank? Frank, I know you're there because I can hear you in the background.
Oh, I'm here. Is my mic too loud?
No, you're perfectly fine. It was when you were doing the dishes in the background that was it was a little but now you're good.
I am so sorry. My wife just had me doing that, and I had to get it done before she'd let me on the call tonight, so shame on her. But anyway, we're here. She's actually listening on the she's actually listening on the call, so.
Well, all I can say is you're a great husband for helping your wife and getting the dishes done. I would also do the same thing. It was just that the mic was picking it up. But it's okay. Everybody was saying they could hear what we were talking about. But, Frank, let's dive straight in the call because I want to make sure we get as many invites done on this call. I know a lot of people really value
Thank you.
how we put our invites together. And so I want to get as much of that done as possible. But first of all, Frank, if you could just give everybody a quick, 30 seconds to 1 minute history of just basically who you are, what age group you're in, why you started a business, and but keep it brief so we can kind of get into the invites as quickly as possible. If you wouldn't mind just giving us 30 seconds to a minute, that'd be great.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you so much, and I just appreciate everybody being on the call tonight. It's such a privilege and a pleasure. And Richard, you are indeed a great friend, and just allowing me to be here. I actually got into Ambit. I had come off of another multi-level marketing, a product-based company, and I've been introduced to Ambit through my dear friend Paul Reichart about 3.5 years ago, and became a customer actually. And but felt like that Ambit was, going to do something for me that the other company wouldn't do, being in the fact that it was that we were dealing with energy, and so that was really an exciting thing for me. And my why was that I'm approaching 70 now. I don't act 70, and everybody that knows me knows that's true. But the exciting thing is that I can just see myself in the next 4, 5, 6 years, just really developing a good retirement program for myself, but also for our ministry that we have. We want to be able to fund our ministry through what we're making and be a blessing. So that's kind of a little bit of an overview.
Okay, that's great, and that's really wonderful. Again, I really try to get a variety of folks on the call because I think people can relate to people differently. Like once we're done, Frank, and I certainly don't mean to move on to the next person, but the person I'm going to be having after this call, either the next person or the person after that, is actually going to be 19. So we'll have someone completely at the other end of the scale who's looking to build a business. So again, that's an intentional thing. Very rarely are they actually in my team, and every now and again when they are, that's great. But I want to kind of give a full perspective because we just think differently at different ages. So again, I thank you for getting on the call, Frank, and I really appreciate the fact that we got something from your perspective. But let me ask you one question that is actually off structure. And I know a lot of people on the call would be interested to hear your answer to this question. As a pastor, how would I invite you to take a look at the business? Guys, get your pens and paper ready because Frank is awesome. How would and I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, and I apologize for that, but I've met a couple of pastors before, and some are warm to the opportunity, some are not so warm, and you're all human. It doesn't make you any different just because you're a pastor. But how would someone best approach you? What would be your buttons as a pastor, not as Frank, but as a pastor who is Frank?
Well, to be honest with you, one of the main problems with pastors is that they don't make anywhere near the money that they need. And very often they are on a volunteer basis, and so and I've experienced that off and on for years, and just getting low pay or whatever. So my approach would be simply that we're looking for an opportunity to help with their income and to be able to subsidize their income, and still at the same time, this is the important part, still at the same time they would be able to maintain their ministry. So working part-time and developing a full-time income is really what their goal would be. So that would be that's really what attracted me to this, is that I could still work in my ministry. I also have a janitorial business that I run, and we've been very successful for about 50 years in both those areas of ministry and my work. But I felt like it was always important to have several streams of income, and we've always been that way. So as a pastor, I felt it was important that we actually share this with pastors, because they very often are struggling financially. They're stressed out. They've got a lot of things going, a lot of people demanding their time, and they're overworked very often. And so those are the approaches that I believe would really, really work with a pastor. I've actually got two of the people that I have on my list tonight are pastors, and or have been pastors and have been involved in ministry. So that's kind of my approach, Richard.
Okay, awesome. And that's, I know it's a little off, I kind of threw you under the bus a little bit there, but I've always wondered that question, and I know if I have, I know a lot of people on the call will do, so I appreciate that. By the way, just for those, everybody who comes on this call regularly know I like to keep this call organic. If there's anything that I've done that you like what I've done, send me a thumbs up. Hopefully you'll never send me a thumbs down, but if you feel the need to, by all means, send me a thumbs down. And also, if there's any questions, drop me a question. I can't guarantee I'll be able to get to it, but I will certainly try, just because I really want to try and keep this organic and live. So, all right, Frank, so let's dive straight on in. Give me, what I want to do first of all is I want just the first names I'm getting some thumbs up. Thanks, guys. The first names of the 10 people we're going to speak to, just the first names, and give me time to type what you're telling me.
Okay, the first one is Rod.
Okay, next.
First one's Rod. Second one is Zach. Z-A-C-H.
Okay.
The third one is Jay.
Yep.
Courtney and her husband, his name is Jeremy. Okay. By the way, I always like to try to get couples together when I speak to them. This is a pastor. His name is Pastor Chris.
Okay, got it.
And this is another pastor. He was actually a pastor of a very the second in command of a very large church in the Arlington area. His name is Joseph.
All right, good name for a pastor.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And Misty with an I.
Okay.
Marcus, M-A-R-C-U-S.
Got it.
Sadie.
Two more.
S-A-D-I-E. I-E. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right.
And this other one his name is Hebron, H-E-B.
Yeah.
R-O-N. And I've got 10. I actually have 11 and working on more.
No, 11's good. 11's good. It's my lucky number. What's the 11th one?
The 11 is Lisa and Gilbert. And I'd like to give a shout out to my team. I've got several of my team members, and we just finished a presentation at about 5:30 tonight. Had a great time, and so give a shout out to my team. Yay!
Fantastic. Great, guys. Thanks very much for getting on the call, and hopefully you're all giving yourself a nice little smile at each other and a nice little thumbs up. Yeah, thanks for getting on there and supporting.
There we go.
Frank. Yeah, it's all about helping each other, right? So, all right, well, let's dive straight on in. Again, thumbs up and thumbs down and questions from those who were on the call. By the way, for those who are new, my number is 214-766-4613. Again, 214-766-4613 if you want to thumbs up, thumbs down, or ask me a question. All right, let's get on with Rod. Okay, let's. So I believe you already got some ideas for some invites. So let's see how you get.
Oh, I do. I have them all written out. Yep.
Great.
By the way, I took about it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just tell me a little bit about Rod, but say what you were going to say first.
Well, what I was going to say was, to all those that are listening, it does take a little bit of time and thought to go through and write each one of these scripts. I spent a couple of hours at least on these, and really went through and just kind of thought about each one individually and thought about, what their situations were. And using the Erica system has absolutely changed our business. So yeah. Anyway, so here's Rod. Do you want me to read the script that I'd written, or how would you like me to do this?
I want context of Rod first. So how old is Rod?
Rod is probably 45-ish to 50.
Okay. Married?
Married. Has some children and I believe some grandchildren.
Kids? How old?
Maybe a couple. Oh, I'm not even sure. I've never actually met them. I just know Rod because he used to work for me. So. Okay.
Do you know if he's
I'm sure they're growing. So I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you know if he has any pain? Is he struggling with money or anything like that? Do you know anything like that, or is it fairly surface stuff?
That's an excellent question, and because let me do a little bit of background. This particular person is actually a follow-up from 6 months ago. where I had actually presented. And I had actually mentioned this one to you, and I thought, well, this would be really, really good because as far as his pain level, he's a great guy. And no, I don't really know what that level would be at this time, but I definitely thought about it, but couldn't think of anything.
Okay, all right. This is actually going to be a really good one because I had someone earlier on asking me, how do I go back to someone that I spoke to 6 months ago and I messed up the invite? How do I go about it? So this is perfect for the first one. I said, well, we might be covering it on the call tonight. And there you go. It's the first one. So great. That's perfect. So you know who you are. She knows who she is, who's waiting for this. So what was your attempt at the invite on this one?
Well, what I did was, let me just read you basically what I said. Hey, Rod, this is Frank. Is this a good time for a short conversation? Well, great. I trust you and your family are doing well. I just want to do a little bit of a follow-up concerning the presentation that you saw about 6 months ago. Recently, Sandy and I were promoted to regional consultant, of which we're very, very excited about. But that isn't all the good news. Ambit is expanding in several areas and new markets, one of which is Dayton, Ohio. And listen to this, Rod, we are launching internationally into Japan. So, Rod, the reason for this call is twofold. One, since things have changed for me, I was wondering if they have also changed for you. You were very interested in Ambit, but it seemed to be the wrong timing for you. How can I help you, and do you have any questions about this wonderful Ambit opportunity? And then also, secondly, we are continuing to expand. And who do you know in the Ohio, New York, or Maryland, Illinois, and Pennsylvania area, or maybe possibly into Japan? At that point, I would wait for a response and go from there. Now, is that too long?
Yes. But let's was that yeah, we'll need to film it down a little.
That's one of my short ones. you forget I'm a pastor. They don't call us hot air for nothing.
No, it'll be fine. So first of all, there are the 5 rules, and I'm sure you know about these, and I'm going to say this for the new folks on the line. We have 5 guidelines / rules or whatever it is for each invite. The first one is to be in a hurry. Second one is to talk about your why. Third one is to talk about, you're starting something new and being excited about it. The fourth one is a takeaway. It may or may not be your cup of tea, but I just want you to take a look. And then the last one is the being intentional about setting a time. So you touched on a few of those things during your invite, and obviously you went through it pretty quickly. But let's address the first part. You read the first part of your invitation again.
Well, I said, Rod, this is Frank, and is this a good time for a short conversation? Okay. And then I said I basically wanted to follow up. So he's already seen. Okay.
Hold on, Frank. I want to break this down into the 5 elements of what we need to do in the invite, because you're not telling him in your own hurry. And that's the first part of the invite. Every invite you do, you want to be in a hurry, because you don't want to get dragged into something that you don't want to get dragged into. So by all means say, is this a good time, and this type of thing, and he'll say, yeah, and say, well, look, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now. I've got to get on a conference call, or I've got to get, to my office, or I've got to pick the kids up from the school. I've got, whatever it is, you need to be in a hurry to begin with. Without that, you have no protection. Now, I know he already knows this is Ambit, but what we're doing, making sure we're coaching everybody on the call, is that you must be in a hurry on every single call. So make sure every invite you do is you're in some way in a hurry. And for those of you on the call, exactly the same thing for you. Whatever is relevant to you. If you're at school, hey, I'm just about to go in class. If you're a mom, just about to pick up the kids from school, just about to put the dinner on, whatever it is. If you're a pastor, you can say, I've got to have my sermon done in such and such a time. Whatever it is. For me, it's I've got to get on a conference call, and usually I do. But you must be in a hurry when you first get started. So by all means, say, is this a good time? That's fine. And then, but then you must be in a hurry. Then go to your next part, which is the number 2, the why. Okay. What did you say next?
Well, I said I just want to follow up concerning the presentation that you saw about 6 months ago.
And in fact,
and then we talked about the expansion.
Right. And in fact, this is a slightly different invite because, thanks, Dana. I think I was touching the microphone. This invite is very slightly different because we are going back to someone who already has seen the business before. So whenever you go back and talk to someone who's seen the business before, first of all, your invite needs to still be short, but it's all about what's changed. What has happened? Why are you talking to them again? It's got to be because of change, and you addressed that, and that was really good. But there are three things that will have changed. Something will have changed about you and your business, which you covered. Something will have changed about Ambit and its growth, which you covered. And
which
then
you did.
And then we asked the question, right, exactly. And then there's something that will have changed about him, and you covered that too.
Him.
And that's right, about him, that's right. So that's how you deal with it. You know, you talk about, well, listen, since the reason why I'm calling you right now is because this, and this has changed about me in the business. I've been promoted, I've made more money, whatever it happens to be. And secondly, I just wanted to let you know that Ambit has now grown into this area. Our revenue has grown from 1.2 to 1.5, and the big news is the fact we've just moved into the international market. So you covered that. That's great. But here's the reason why I was giving you a call is because, you know, the timing wasn't right for you back when we spoke about it before, and that was fine, and we never want to push anybody into the business. But just as my life has changed and just as my business has changed, very often other people's has changed as well, and that's why I'm reaching out to you, because things may have changed for you where Ambit may be appropriate, again, for you to take a look at. What are you doing on Friday? Bang, cut it short. That's all you need to do. At the end of the day, for all of those things you want to say to him, a lot of those can be saved and said in the presentation.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff in that invite, and that's fine. But you've got to cut it off. You want what's changed with you, what's changed with the company, what's changed, what has possibly changed with him, and that's why you're calling. What are you doing on Friday after you know, whatever you're doing? Or go grab a coffee. There's a Starbucks just around the corner from you, and then you're really intentional. I didn't really hear an intentional closing of time in the invite, and that's probably the most important part. So
yeah, and I think mostly because I was going in a little bit different direction and didn't know exactly where he was as far as, you know, is he going to want to look at this again with this information, this new information or not? And you're right, I did miss that, and I do have those in other invitations, but well, that was a little bit different for me, and I was, you know, trying to play with it a little bit.
Right, and that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with playing with it, but remember, this business is all about duplication. You have talent, you have the ability to speak, you have the ability to put great invites together that may be a little different from the standard, but it won't duplicate, and frankly, will damage your business.
I hear you.
It'll damage your business. Yep. You know, I mean, you do a great job, and by all means, use your talent, you know, especially when you're doing your presentations and this type of thing. But the most important thing is that what you do must be duplicatable, and you're a pastor, and most people cannot do what pastors do. So kind of stick to the script. So it starts with being in a hurry, and then when you're going back to people, only when you're going back to people with new folks, which we'll talk about in a minute, it's a little different. You're talking about 3 levels of change: what's changed in you, what's changed in the company, and what's changed in them. And that's and the fact that things have probably changed for you, that may be appropriate for you to take another look at the business. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, if you and then I'd go intentional. So what are you doing, you know, at such and such a time, or after church on Sunday, or whatever? Now, let's cover one other thing again, because again, some people are going back to people because they messed up their first invite. They got into business, and they spoke to them 6 months ago, and they kind of messed it up. And so Kathy was specifically talking about that when we cover this, is how do you go back to people how you kind of messed it up? And you can do it. I mean, it's the same thing. Is first of all, give them a call, be in a hurry, and say, hey, listen, you know, we spoke about Ambit about 6 months ago or whatever it was, and I just wanted to kind of fill you in on a couple of things, but also I kind of wanted to apologize, because last time I spoke to you about it, I was brand new in the business, and I didn't really know what I'm doing, but we spoke about 6 months ago, and since then, in Kathy's case, I think she's promoted once or twice Kathy, if you're on the call, maybe you can text me to remind me if you're an RC or an SC. So you've really got some great news to go back to someone with. And I think if you're humble enough to say, I messed up, so you get on the call and say, listen, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now, but remember when we spoke about 6 months ago about the Ambit business? They know it's Ambit, so we don't have to hide that. Say, listen, when I spoke to you, okay, cool. Oh, wow, 16 on the SC team, so she is killing it. Yeah, so she's got great news to say. So you call back to those particular people and say, listen, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now, but I just wanted to reach out to you going, we spoke about Ambit a little while ago. And they'll say yes and say, well, look, I'm calling you because it's really going very well for me. Since I spoke to you, I've been promoted twice. I've got a bunch of people in my new team. I'm making great money. But I also have to apologize because when I called you before, I was brand new in the business. I didn't know what I was talking about, and I did you an injustice, and I didn't really talk to you about the business properly. And I wanted basically to give you the opportunity to see if it makes sense for you to take another look. And then you could talk about the change in the company. Since we spoke, the company's done this, the company's done that, company's done that. And again, 6 months down the line, I'm sure some things have changed in your life just like they have in mine. Let's get together on Friday and I can show you the business properly this time. So it's very similar to the way we did it with Frank. But this time it's adding in a little bit of vulnerability and saying, I'm sorry, I just got started, I messed it up. Okay, and I've got a few people texting me, giving me the thumbs up, and I like that and stuff. So good. I'm hearing that people like that, but because there's a lot of people who have a lot of people on their list who they messed it up when they first got going, and so it's okay to go back to those same people and you talk about what's changed and you put an apology in there about you kind of didn't really do a good enough job with telling them about the business. So hopefully that's covered that. Let's now talk about some of your other folks. Did that help you there?
Okay.
Did that help you a lot?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that really does, and it gives me clarity as far as how to approach this particular person. He's really a good friend, and he was very interested. But yeah, let's go on to Zach for a second, if that's okay.
Just a second. On one thing, on that rod thing, all that other stuff that was in your invite was good, valuable stuff, but it needs to be in the presentation, not in the invite. Is that fair enough?
Yes, sir. I understand. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm getting some other texts saying I talk too much too, and I'm getting thumbs up and stuff. So this is all good stuff. So Frank, it's important that we keep those invites. We do what we need to do, but we keep it short and crisp and stick to a formula that can be duplicated downline from you. Okay, so let's move on.
Okay, sounds good. Zach, he's a young man that has a photography business, and I've been trying to get a hold of him, and we've missed each other on several calls. He did call me back, but I was out of town and was not able to really follow up with him the way I should have. That was about 3 weeks ago. So I'm impressed with Zach as a young man and a business owner. So I've approached this particular one with the idea in mind that he is in business and that he's doing well. So this is how this one goes. Hi, Zach. Trust you and your family are doing well. Sorry we haven't connected. Is this a good time for a short conversation? I only have a minute myself. Great. Let me ask you a question. I know you've been I know you have been successful in photograph business, and because of that, I thought of you. Sandy and I are very excited about a business that we are in. Let me ask you, do you leave your options open for a new business opportunity to make some residual income part-time? Great. Then when can we get together and in the next 24 hours? And then set the time. That's it.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't ask him when it's good. I would give him a couple of options. So I'm going to go from end to start. I'm going to start at the end and go backwards. So again, the intentionality, the number 5, being intentional about setting the time is some really important training. A lot of people will say, now you did a good job, you're about 60% there, but we need to get you 100% there. A lot of people will say, we need to get together sometime over the next couple of days so we can talk about it. That is 0%. That is just plain wrong.
I don't do that.
one cannot be so wishy-washy about it. One needs to be very specific about it. But also asking them to set a time. Yes, that is okay for some folks, and I know that's kind of the way it can be done. And I give a 7 out of 10 for that, and it's okay. But I think one should go, listen, I'm not sure what you're doing after work on Friday, or I'm free after church on Sunday. It's a lot more positive. It also gives you posture. And I'm not talking about alpha male, arrogance here. I'm talking about just maintaining some posture. I mean business here, and I think there's nothing wrong with people being able to read that, and both guys and girls, young and old, can use a posture of, listen, I'm this. You can use your own wording, of course, because I'm English, so I use funny words and stuff like that. But I will always say, listen, I've got a busy week, but Monday I've got lunch free. Tuesday I can make it after work, or if not, we can do the weekend. I know you have church on Sunday, but after Sunday, which one is going to be better for you? So that is a sales technique. But it's not a salesy thing to do. It's just basically giving you posture, and then they're busy thinking about which time is going to be better, not should I see him or shouldn't I see him. They're now thinking which one it is. It's kind of neuro-linguistic, gives you posture, and then helps them make a decision for doing that. So the intentionality of setting the appointment is real important. And so let's now look at the rest of the invite. So the very first part, you were very good. You said, I've only got a minute myself, so that's perfect. Now, you did jump in. You said things like, let me ask you a question and business opportunity. I'm a little nervous about words like that because they sound, forgive me for being direct here, but they sound a little tacky.
Okay.
I don't like the words business opportunity. Business opportunity to me reeks Amway. No offense to Amway, but it immediately gets my hackles up. And let me ask you a question. I don't know that that's how you would speak, Frank. I don't know if that's what. I think that's not how you would normally speak. So, if I was going to invite this guy, I would talk about how impressed you are with him and stuff like that. I do, by the way, what I do think you did right was be direct. I want you to take a look at something I'm doing. Or do you keep your options open for extra money? That's fine because he's young and he's entrepreneurial. That was fine. But again, in the interest of keeping these invites duplicatable, again, stick to the 5 rules. Number 1, being in a hurry. You were in a hurry. That was great. So I would, and then next thing is talk about sharing your why. And in this particular situation, I might be, hey Zach, listen, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now. Do you have a moment? That's actually a Dana Hester line, which he uses beautifully. Do you have a moment? And he'd say, yeah, absolutely no problem. I'd say, well, look, I might go one of 2 ways. I might say, obviously, that my wife and I, we're fairly close to retirement, and we're looking to make sure we have enough money to make sure that we can retire properly. So we've started a business project that's really working very, very well for us, and I want you to take a look at it for a couple of reasons. Number 1, we're both business owners, and we need to know what each other's doing so we can recommend each other. But number 2, I'd like you to take a look at it. I'd like you to take a look at it to see if it's something that you would actually like to do alongside your photography business. Because the one thing I know about photography business is you're only making money when you're pointing the camera at someone. When you're not pointing the camera at someone, you're not making money. And this is something that would have a lot of synergy with your business. I'm not sure if it's going to be your cup of tea or not. Item number 4, the takeaway. Not sure if it's going to be your cup of tea or not. And Zach, that's perfectly fine. My friendship with you is more important than anything else. But I've always been very impressed with the way you run your business, and I'd love you to take a look at what we're doing. What are you doing on Friday around 5 o'clock or Sunday after church?
Exactly. Yep.
So a lot of the points you were saying in your invite were good, and that actually was a pretty good invite and would work. But I'm interested in keeping some symmetry and duplicatability in the invite. So I always try to follow the same 5 rules every time.
Okay.
Being in a hurry,
very good.
His why may be different than yours because he's a young man. He's not looking towards retirement. But that does talk about you. I started a business project, not business opportunity. Lose the word opportunity, my friend.
Okay, got it.
That makes my flesh creep and gets my hackles up. I'm not directing that at you, but and I know a lot of people It's a business opportunity, and it screams Amway. So, Zach, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now, but I've been meaning to reach out to you sometime this week because my wife and I, we're a little older than you, and we're heading towards retirement, and we've got to make sure that we have enough money for our retirement. And we've started a business project just recently that is going to not only fill our retirement, but so much more. And I want you to take a look at it for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're both business owners, and we need to know what each other's doing. We need to network. We need to be able to help each other. But secondly, I want you to take a look at it because I think it might be something that would actually be something that you want to do alongside your photography business. There's synergy in the business, and then you may want to go into more detail and say, look, I know the photography business can be seasonal and it can be up and down, and this would be a wonderful ability to even out your cash flow. Kind of some business talk in there to even out your cash flow.
Right.
Listen, I'm not sure if it's going to be your cup of tea or not. But what are you doing on Friday after work? There's a Starbucks literally just around the corner from you. I'm going to be in the area there too, so I can see you that time or after church on Sunday. That's how I would do the invite, and that's how you've heard me invite on last week's Purge call, the week before that, the week before that, the week before that. It's the same 5 things, and there's a reason why. It's because it's duplicatable and it works. And that your team who are getting on the call, who are joining, are going to invite the same way as you do. So it was much better, much shorter. It was a great invite. But does that make sense?
Oh, it absolutely does make sense, especially the part about having his business come alongside of what he's doing. With Ambit coming alongside of his business and being seasonal is. I think that's a really, really valid point. I did mention also that, I did give him a compliment in the fact that he is successful in his business. So I think that was kind of on the right track. What do you think?
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. That bit you did, that was perfect. Any time you can pay someone a compliment, because we're not complimented in our lives, but anytime you can pay someone a compliment is a great opportunity. So that's good. But any business that's like this, like a photography business or a plumbing business or anything that's a service like that, the approach to take is the fact that they're only making money when they're turning a wrench, pointing a camera, wiring a plug, massaging a back, whatever it is. When you're trading time specifically, each hour for each dollar, then this is a wonderful business to work alongside to even out your cash flow. Out your cash flow. It's a great way of doing it, even for realtors. We've got realtors who will suddenly make a $20,000 month, and then they'll have 4 months of nothing. An Ambit business is perfect for them. And we talk about synergy. It's a great word. It's a great business word for business owners. There's a lot of synergy between the Ambit business and what you're doing. I was talking to a jewelry person today. What synergy is there between the Ambit business and her business? Well, she's got her jewelry business. She's starting to build it. When she has a party, she makes money. When she's not having a party, she's not making any money. And we talked about this, as I said, to the Ambit business could even out your cash flow perfectly. I said, but more importantly that there's some wonderful synergy. And I know it may not seem that electricity and jewelry have synergy, but the money that people are saving from their electricity bill, do you think that could buy any of your jewelry? And she went, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. So I said, so there you go. So that's kind of how that works. So that's what
Very
I was doing.
good.
Again,
Very good.
Your invite was great, but I want to try to stick to the 5 things.
Okay.
So I've had a couple of people asking me to repeat what the 5 things are. The 5 things are: number 1, so have a pen with you. Number 1, be in a hurry. Number 2, use your why. Frank would be talking about having enough money for his retirement. I would be talking about having enough money for Max's college. A young person may be talking about, I need to make sure I've got enough money for my new house I'm moving into, or I've got to get the money together for a new car, whatever it is. Number 3, so I've started a new project that's working really well for me in the DFW area. Now, for those of you who are obviously in the other states, we mention your area, in the Pennsylvania area, in the New York area, in the California area, or whatever it is. I've started a new project that's working really well for me, and I want you to take a look at it for a couple of reasons. It's number 1, you need to know what I'm doing just from a purely referral standpoint. I can refer you, you can refer me. But secondly, I'd like you to take a look at it because it may be something you actually want to do alongside what you're currently doing. Okay, and then
Okay.
the number four is the takeaway. It may or may not be your cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. And then number five, the intentional close. But what are you doing on Friday around 5 o'clock? What are you doing? If you can't make Friday, that's fine. Saturday, I've got 2 or 3 hours Saturday afternoon. So you can word it however you want to word it. And there is an overriding rule over all of those five to rule them all, as it were, which is to be yourself. Again, a 19-year-old would talk differently than people our age, Frank. So make it your own wording. That's the most important thing on that. All right?
Exactly.
So, okay. All right. So let's have a look at another invite. We're actually
Okay.
I'm actually slower than I thought, but that's okay because I think there's been some really good stuff here. Let me ask everybody out there, please give me the thumbs up if all of this is making sense, because I know I'm talking a lot. I know I'm talking fast. But this is really important stuff here. Okay, so drop me a text if you're thumbs up. Thanks, Aries. Drop me a thumbs up if you're liking this. All right, so let's have a look at number 3 on the list, please.
Number 3,
Jay,
yeah. This is Jay. Let me give you a little information on him. Jay is a man that I've worked for in the janitorial business. He owns a funeral home here in the Mesquite area. He's an amazing fella, and so he's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur, and has done quite well in his business. And so we've become good friends over the years, and so I'm approaching this from a business perspective. And so here's how I basically, and you're going to probably blow this apart, but that's okay. That's what we want. Hi, Jay. Do you have a couple of minutes? I'm in I only have a short bit of time myself, but great. First, I wanted you to know how much I value our friendship. You and your family have meant so much to me over the years, and I also want you to know how I admire you and the business you have that you have built serving people in our community for the last number of years. Sandy and I have been in business for over 45 years, and we are constantly learning new and exciting things. Our goal is to help others achieve financial freedom by showing them how to build residual income. I really value you as a friend and appreciate your approach to helping people. Would you mind doing me a favor and take a look at how we're helping folks? Then give me your opinion. I'm sure this isn't for you, but you may know someone that it would be valuable for. Can we connect tomorrow in the office, say in the morning or afternoon? What would work best for you? And then I would say, if he says morning, I'll say, okay, is 10 o'clock good or is 11 o'clock better? And then we would set the time.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff in there, and yes, I'm afraid I am going to tear it apart a little bit. What's really good?
That's good.
I really like the compliments. I really like the fact that you're connecting well. I like the fact that you put together the right invite at the back. But there's a couple of things. First of all, it doesn't sound conversational enough. But there's a couple of things in there that we need to remove. And do me a favor, is I think reducing your posture. I'm not a big fan of doing people a favor. I'd say, look, I'd really, if it was me, I'd say, look, I respect you as a friend, and as much as that, I respect your opinion. I want you to take a look at something I'm doing. Because, you're already a successful businessman. I'd love you to see what I'm doing. And then I'd go, bang, straight into the close. I'd say, what are you doing 5 o'clock on Friday? Because, again, remember, the purpose of these invites is to get people to look at the plan, not to blow smoke up their backside about how great they are and how, by all means, compliment and by all means say, listen, you're a pillar in the society and this type of thing. But, again, that's a little unusual. I don't know if I would say that in an invite. I'd say that if I'm doing a write-up about him in a business magazine.
Okay.
That's good language, and again, it's stuff that can go in the presentation. I wouldn't do it in the invite. I would get straight to the point. I'd be listening. What was his name again? Jay, right? He's got the funeral guy, Jay.
Yes.
Yes, his name's Jay. Yeah. I'd say Jay.
Yes, his name's Jay.
I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now, but do you have a couple of seconds? And he'll say, yes. I'd say, listen, you and I have been friends for a long time, and I know you're a successful business owner yourself. But as you know, my wife and I, we're getting more towards retirement, and we want to make sure that we have enough money in our coffers for retirement. And how old is Jay, by the way?
He's probably in his mid-50s.
Okay.
And he's got several kids and grandkids, so yeah.
Right. So, and I'd say, it's not going to be that long before you're obviously looking at the same thing. But so my wife and I started a business project that's working really well for us in the DFW area. And I'm really excited about it, and I want you to take a look at it for a couple of reasons. The most important one is it's a relatively new business for me, and you're well connected in this particular area. So, first of all, I'd really appreciate your opinion, but secondly, I know you can connect me with some really strong leaders in the area here, and I'd really appreciate that. And then I may add, and so this is in parenthesis, so I'm asking him for an opinion and referrals. But I may add, depending on my relationship with him, it may be something you also want to do alongside your funeral business. I'd be careful to talk about synergy with a funeral business just because it's kind of just weird.
It is.
I would talk, it's a little weird there, so I wouldn't go there with that one. So I'd say, listen, Jay, I don't know if it's your cup of tea or not, and that's perfectly fine. My friendship with you is more important than anything else, and really I want the opinion and maybe some good connections. What are you doing on Friday around 5 o'clock? Not could we get together at, would you consider this? No. What are you doing at 5 o'clock on Friday, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd strip all of that other stuff out.
More posturing.
Yeah, nice and posture. You can hear a definite posture in my voice. I'm not being arrogant. I'm just being postured. And so that's what I would do. I'd strip all the other stuff out and save that for the presentation because you're already in front of him then. All we want to do is get in front of him. And Frank, we're going to have to move on real quick because we're at 8:59 right now.
Yep.
So I want to make
that's
sure
fine.
Yeah, that's no problem. Thanks so much for getting on the call. I did, to save me a little bit of time, for everybody who's in the opt-in, will have got a text from me just now to let you know all the details for the national call that's coming right after this one. So that'll help you get on that call real quick. So we got into a lot of detail on this call, and I promise you we're going to get into a lot more in the accountability calls during the week. So make sure you guys plug into that call during the week. But I'm going to wrap it up right now so you can get on the national call. I certainly do not want to walk all over Brian McClure. He's the number one income earner. And I am a lowly EC. I'm just a lowly EC. So Frank, thank you so much for getting on the call today. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Guys, no problem at all.
Love you all.
Get your week planned this week. Make sure you have your written list done, your top 10 names, and make sure you put time in your calendar to do what you need to do. Guys, have a great Sunday. Thank you so much for getting on the call, and I will speak to you all very soon. Listen in to the accountability calls during the week. Guys, have a great Sunday. I'll see you all very soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye now.